welcome back to my channel. Oh, it's cold, cozy, I'm cozy, and I have read a lot of books since my last video. I'm going to talk about all of them, and I'm drinking the best drink, and no, it's not tea, no, it's not coffee, it's Offi. And if you don't know Offi, maybe you know Offi Maltine, which is the full name, which is say Offi and people will think you're Swiss. So it's from Switzerland. It's, yeah, if you don't know it, I feel sorry for you, because this is the best hot drink in the world. Yeah, I'm gonna claim that. And if you want to disagree, you have to try it. Okay, but let's talk books. First off, we have J.R.R. Tolkien, The Children of Hurin. I enjoyed this. This version here has illustrations by Alan Lee, which was one of the illustrators that also worked in the Lord of the Rings movies. And they are beautiful. And also, like, the paper, whenever it's an illustration, it's like that, you know, shiny, expensive paper. So I really love this edition. But now about the book itself. I enjoyed it for the most part. I had some dry patches that were a little bit hard to get through for me. And especially when people talk, especially the elves, it just takes years, it feels like, for them to say something, so that could get a little bit tiring. On the other hand, it was nice to be back in Middle-earth and to get that feeling again. It does have the Lord of the Rings feeling. The interesting thing is, so one of the main characters, so we are talking about the children of Hurin, so we start with Hurin and then of course his children, and one of the main characters was Turin, his son, and he's just a dick. I'm sorry. He is so annoying from start to finish, which also made it a little bit interesting to read, but all the characters around him were kind of cool. And he had his moments, like he's like very brave, very like non-flinching, never giving up kind of thing, which was very nice. But my god, one annoying person. So yeah, so that was an interesting from that perspective. But all in all, I did enjoy it. I think I gave it 3.5 to 4 stars on Goodreads. Because it's definitely not, it's not Lord of the Rings, but it's out there. It's definitely worth a read, in my opinion. Also, it's not too big. It looks big maybe, but again, this is with pictures. And in this particular one, the font is fairly big-ish. Or maybe it's common, I don't know. But yeah, that was the first book that I read since my last video. And the next one is exciting. I can't wait to talk about it. This is We Have Always Lived in a Castle by Shirley Jackson. Loved it. 5-star, so good, such a great story. Loved all the characters, loved what was happening. And also, well, I hated one of the characters, but that was the point. Like, you're supposed to hate him, and it's done so well. I got so emotional. And I was like starting to feel like one of the characters in there, and was just like, can't he just die? Like, and also this is kind of spooky story, sort of. It's well, it starts off with a murder of a family, and we don't know why, and it's just like almost casually mentioned, I would say, in the beginning of the book, and then kind of like it pops up more and more, and you figure out more and more, and it was so interesting to like try and put it together. And I was so wrong. I can say I was completely wrong. And when we like figure out more and more, I was like, what? And then it's done so well. It's like not done in a big like drum roll, this is how it was. It's done like almost sneakily, like just like a hand wave, and it's like, wait, what? Like, you know, a hand wave that has like all the spoilers written on it or something. That was so geniusly done. Yeah, I don't want to say more, I think. So it's about two sisters, I should say a little bit about the story maybe, who live in this castle, and they have always lived in this castle. It's not actually a castle, it's a big mansion, but same. And the village who doesn't like them for some reason. Then there's this other rich family that they are like kind of against, or rivalry, or what do you want to say. And you just follow how these girls manage, and and how the village reacts and how all of that interplays, and like I said, the murder. So very, very cool. I can highly recommend it. Also, it's a very short read, so you have no excuse, none to not read it. Go. The next one you will not notice. This is Aurora's Thread, as it's called, and this is a self-published book, I think by 8 authors. Regardless, 2 of my friends are 2 of those authors who have done this self-publishing here in Sweden. And yeah, obviously I bought it to support them. So Aurora's Thread is like the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights, are like a common thread inside all of the stories that these different authors have written. And then there's also a theme connecting all of the stories. And in the end, they tied even tighter together, which I loved. So I actually really enjoyed this one. So if you're interested in reading brand new authors, self-published, yeah, that's this little one. And obviously the 2 stories that my friends wrote were the 2 best ones. The next book that I read, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Such a good timing. I mean, I planned for that. I don't know why I said that. I planned to read this in the spoopy month, and I did. So happy I read it. It's a big chunker. I was a little bit intimidated at first, but it was so good. I enjoyed it. I actually had to change my rating on Goodreads, because when I came out of it first, I gave it, I think, 3.2 and 3.5, and then I pushed it up to a 4. And the reason for that being was I was a little bit, at first, too hung up on the movie and the thing that the movie did, which does not happen in the book. And I can't really say what it is, because I feel like it's spoilery, because for me, not knowing that coming into this book was such a difference, but also, yeah, what should I say? No, I don't think so. So in the movie, like, they let's say they try to tie certain characters even closer to each other with something that just didn't happen in the book. And so somehow something was missing for me, and Dracula, I felt like, was just this blank bad villain. He's just evil, period. Like, without motivation, without much reasoning behind. And that's what kind of put me off for a while, and I was just too hung up on that specific fact. Then I set it down for a couple of days, and I went back and I kind of saw what I was remembering of the story, and what I was remembering of the story were like, what do you call it, the group of heroes, or like, you know, the ones, yeah, binding together to fight Dracula, basically. And like the camaraderie, like the friendship, the braveness, how they really like completely trust each other. Like it's such a nice bond between these characters, and like the more I thought about it, the more I love that, and that is way more in the book. Like, you get almost no sense of that whatsoever in the movie, Bram Stoker's Dracula. And also the movie is like, it follows the book sort of faithfully, like I would say the main thread of the story, but otherwise it's completely different. It has even a different like feel, in my opinion. So it's the same, but not the same at all at the same time. So, which may sound weird, but it's true. And so anyway, so like when I rethought about it, I'm like, you know what, that actually has some real value in it. It's like you are humans binding together to fight a supernatural being. And that was the focus more than Dracula himself. And just because I came from the movie, I was a little bit surprised by that. And also the book is called Dracula, so you would think it's way more about him than the people fighting him, but it's the other way around. So that can also be good to know if you want to read it. But like I said, the more I thought about it, I loved it, because like this kind of like friendship and this kind of like sticking together no matter what, and they were literally staring death in the face, is incredible. And yeah, and then I was like, oh no, I have to change my rating. It's a 4. It's a definite 4. It has some like sections in the book when certain characters say something. I swear to God, Van Helsing, he can talk for 2 pages and basically he says 2 sentences. And somehow he just manages to add so many extra words and sentences that completely say nothing, basically. And that was at times a little bit endearing, but all in all, so final Vote is 4 stars. It's a good read. It's definitely worth it, especially if you have seen the movie. I would highly recommend to read this because you will get a new experience and new feeling. And yeah, now I warned you about maybe something that you would expect from the book if you see the movie. So yeah, so that was Bram Stoker's Dracula. Very, very cool book. All right, that was already 4. So now we're coming to the last one, which is The Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. The coolest thing is that this is such an old text, if everything can be believed, but I mean, why wouldn't we? I just wanted to read the last sentence, or paragraph rather. So this is by Miyamoto Musashi himself. Now in composing this book, he writes, I have not borrowed the old sayings of Buddhism or Confucianism, nor do I make use of old stories from military records or books on military science. With heaven and cannon for mirrors, sorry, I took up the brush. I love it, the brush, you know, not a pen. I take up the brush and begin to write at 4 a.m. on the night of the 10th day of the 10th month, 1643. It's just like, just reading that paragraph made me like feel like, ooh, is this gonna crumble? Is this like paper from 1643? That was so cool. It's just like, wow, that is old. Obviously the translation is a modern one, so it's fairly easy to read, although you still get the feeling of a person talking from it's a person talking from that time. So he writes in the first person, in I, and how his way of the sword works. It's obviously a lot about the sword and so much, but which was interesting to me as I also write. So it was interesting to me to like read the correct science on how to win with the sword in battle. But the main reason why I wanted it is because, like many people, I think it even says it here somewhere, yeah, embraced by many contemporary readers as a manual on how to succeed in life. I would say that's a little bit over the top, to be very honest. It didn't give me that much life lessons, but I enjoy when he talks about the mind. Like, he talks a lot about the mind and control of the mind, and that's also a yogic view, that like the mind is a terrible master and you should be the master over your mind. Because yeah, when the mind goes crazy, it can give us anxiety, it can, you know, it can control everything. So instead you should be the master and the mind should be your servant and obey you, where you want to focus your mind and things like that. Those were the parts that I enjoyed the most. Like I said, I was even interested in some of the swordplay things. But also interesting, and I didn't know that when I bought this edition here, right here, that I have, it has a second book in it, which I didn't know I would get. And that's right here. And the second book, which is not by Miyamoto Musashi, is The Book of Family Traditions on the Art of War by Yaguyu Munenori. And so I got like 2 in 1, if you will. And this second one I also really enjoyed. So he also talks about the sword and stuff, but he even more goes into the mind and having a quiet mind and having like a lot about like also like how you see and perceive things. And that's again stuff I recognize from yoga, that yeah, if you only see with your eyes, you can be deceived. Like, you need to see with your purusa, is what we say in yoga, which is what allows you to see without being clouded. And we are clouded by our senses, by our feelings and smell and things like that. But yeah, so I'm rambling. Because I love this stuff. So for me, this was a very cool book to read, although it did take me a while, I have to be very honest. I somehow stumbled through it I can't point my finger on it. Maybe it was just like I had like the interesting part and then I got interrupted, and then came the interesting part and then I got interrupted a little bit. But all in all, I left it actually unrated because I mean, it's non-fiction. I don't feel like I can rate that. I don't know. But because you kind of need to know what you're getting into. So if you're not at all interested in this, you could give it 1 star, but then yeah, why do you read this nonfiction if you're not interested in it? So I feel like if you're interested in this, it's 100% worth a read. It's small, so even though I stumbled, I mean, or even if you will stumble, you will get through it very fast. It's 160 pages, I think. So yeah, that's also good to know. So book number 5. Now I take my coffee. I might need to rewarm it now. Been talking for 15 minutes apparently. Still good. Yeah, so it took a while to get a video out. I said that last time. It will take a while again. So right now I guess my new goal is actually 1 a month, honestly. Fits me quite well. So this is the October video, even though we're not fully at the end of October. Then I will get out 1 in November and hopefully 1 in December. And maybe next year it will be faster, or I keep the once a month. It's actually quite nice to just talk about all the books I read in that month. I don't know. I decide whenever I decide. So yeah, so that was all for me this time. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any comments, let me know. And if you liked it, you know, all the YouTube chats, like, subscribe, and so on. And I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. See ya!